So thank you everybody for tuning in whenever it is you're tuning in, because this is being recorded and then will be posted another time. I am Alana Wakeman from the Forest and Bridge Real Estate Group at Remax Real Estate Center, and I am here with Michelle from MEE Photography.
Hi,
Is it
thank you
me
for
or is it
having me.
MEE?
No, it's me. You know what? It is my initials, so really, I mean, you can say anything. But yeah, me is fine.
Okay, so there's no wrong way. There's no wrong way to pronounce it. So Michelle, you are a photographer here in London, obviously.
Yes.
And you cover everywhere in the city, and I imagine some like surrounding areas as well.
Yeah, yeah. So there pretty much isn't anywhere I wouldn't travel to. I mean,
The States, because you can't.
I would travel anywhere. No. Yeah, I mean, I do quite a bit of work here in downtown even, and then kind of some of the rural areas outside for if I need that kind of feel. So there really isn't anywhere I don't go. If that's where I need to go, then off I go. Yeah.
Awesome. Now you are a natural light photographer. Can
Mhm.
you explain a little bit about that?
So the way, I guess the easiest way to explain it is light that naturally exists. So sunlight, even if you're inside using the light that comes in through the window, rather than using flashes or, softbox lighting, things like that. I have those things. I prefer not to use them. I don't excel at them. Um, I just, natural light as a rule is always better. Any photographer will tell you that.
For sure.
It gives a better, just warmer,
Yeah.
richer feel. And so that's kind of the difference between it. You can get that effect using artificial light, but I mean,
It's not the same.
natural is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. That's why golden hour is a thing, and that's
Yeah,
always like what you're
exactly.
striving
It is
for.
such a thing. They have whole websites for it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention before. My husband actually used to do like wedding videography and a little bit of
Nice.
photography, yeah, with a friend. So he'll interject with like certain things. If I'm doing real estate photos, and he's like, "No, no, don't shoot it like that. You want to shoot it like this." I'm like, "Why don't?"
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. He's man of many talents. Um, looking at my notes here. So you do all sorts of different types of photography, like you do branding, you do boudoir, you do like family as well. What other sorts of photography there am I missing?
I would say predominantly business branding. I love doing boudoir. You wouldn't necessarily know it looking at my profile because I would much rather be able to keep my clients like their comfort level.
Yeah.
I don't pressure anybody to post things and, like I understand we all have jobs, we all have careers, we have family, that's not everybody wants to be splashed all over social media.
Mhm.
So I tend to favor their privacy more than me being able to show what I
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah. It's
But yeah, I would say it's it's mostly business branding, especially at this point in time.
yeah.
Um, some families, there's a few families that I'll do here and there. It's not something that I do often. Um, I've done some wedding work. I second weddings. I prefer that. There's a lot of pressure with weddings, and I'm a naturally anxious person, so it doesn't really jive. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say definitely it would be like 95% branding at this
Yeah.
point in time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's where I know you from, because you've done branding for a lot of my friends and some people who've either been interviewed, like Sarah from Baking London, or people
Yeah.
who are going to be interviewed, like Rachel from Alfred Counseling.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a friend of mine. And then Brittany, we were talking about from That Social Blonde, and then Morgan Bradnam, who's a fellow realtor.
Yeah.
You do, yeah, a lot of branding.
Makes it sound like I get around.
I know. So branding is what you do a lot of, but you said you have like a real love and passion for boudoir.
Oh, I love it. I do. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool, because I feel like that's something that can be really difficult to capture, I guess I don't say, like the real essence of the individual, because anyone can throw on something sexy or whatever, and it's just a picture, but to really get that feeling and that intimacy and that confidence, the photos that I've seen that you have posted have been incredible.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, really.
I think it comes, I mean, it's I would say for example, a family session. I can say, throw Timmy in the air and oh, it's going to be so cute and tickle mom and give dad a kiss and those are always going to be cute. And to some extent, yeah, there's some personality that can come through in those. When it comes to branding and it comes to boudoir work, that has to be authentic.
Yeah.
And when it comes to boudoir, especially, like for me, being empowered and being sexy and all of those good things doesn't necessarily mean you have sky high heels on and red lipstick and a
Mhm.
bustier. Like that's not me. Like that wouldn't be that I would look ridiculous, like because that's not
Yeah,
authentic,
you
right?
wouldn't feel comfortable in it, and that would translate to that.
Exactly, exactly. And you can read it. Like the body, sure, you can fake it,
Mhm.
but you can read it. You can see it in the eyes, you can see it in the mouth, you can see
Yeah,
the tension,
yeah,
um, all of that stuff. And so when I approach boudoir and I approach branding, leading up to those sessions, there's a lot of I do a lot of back and forth with my clients, a lot of prep work. I'm actually putting together a new guide for branding work. There's a huge email whenever I do the branding, or sorry, the boudoir marathons. There's a huge email that goes out with all sorts of stuff. I
mhm,
encourage people to reach out and ask me questions. I encourage them to do whatever their comfort is.
yeah,
And before I meet with a boudoir client, I have like a form that goes out, and basically because sometimes people aren't comfortable necessarily talking about things right away,
yeah,
they can fill out this form and it says, how comfortable are you with this and this, and do you have a particular kind of music that you like, or do and I take the information from that form and I go from there. So okay, you're comfortable with this kind of music, that's what we're going to listen to.
yeah,
you know and I think you have to personalize and tailor these things because I mean it'll show. If
yeah,
somebody's not comfortable, it'll show.
yeah, yeah. You're just setting everyone up for success then if you're doing those things.
Yeah, it is a lot more work, and I'm sure that probably maybe that's not the typical way to do it, but that's okay with me. I enjoy what I do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you've made quite the name for yourself with photography and the branding and everything too. So whatever you're doing is working, and whether it's unique and people love it, or you're just excellent at it, or some combination of both. So.
No, thank you. That's very kind.
Now, how have you been adapting with all the COVID stuff and shutdowns? I feel like, and maybe I'm making this up, but I feel like I saw you do like a virtual photography session.
So when this all started the first time, I'm in quite a few boudoir Facebook groups. And there were a lot of those groups that would put together virtual shootouts. And so they would have a model somewhere and there would be a feed. Usually, I want to say it was Facebook Live. It feels like it was forever ago. It was really not. But, and the model would go through, flow posing and moving around and okay, let's try this location. And some of them were led by whomever was organizing it. Some of it was just free flow. And you would sit there with your phone and you would screenshot,
Interesting.
and then you would take those images and you would edit them.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And it was a really cool way because the first time, sorry, we couldn't do anything. We couldn't work.
So everything was like locked down.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so it was something that kind of kept us creating.
Hmm.
It kind of kept everybody connected, which was kind of nice. Some of the people that I met doing that, I still follow or I still admire their work now.
Hmm.
So we did that. And then there was a virtual local business shoot that I did. And so that was with some of the different businesses that had closed up.
Hmm.
And they had kind of like a
Like,
sign that said,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
mhm, yeah, so we did that same kind of thing. I FaceTimed with each of them, and then I edited them just on my phone with with Lightroom on my phone,
Hmm.
and that was with Slyfox. So Michelle and I had talked about doing it,
Yeah,
and so and it was picked up by a few places, which was kind of cool.
yeah,
But yeah, so we did that kind of at the beginning,
yeah.
and then we were able to open again in about July.
Mhm.
But the problem was, is we were in the second phase and makeup artists were in the third. So a lot of my marathons and stuff like that that I had scheduled um, had to be like I had stuff
Yeah.
from March all the way through booked. I had marathons, I had all of these great huge ideas,
Yeah.
couldn't do them. And
Yeah.
so I always work with when it comes to marathons, I work with Mel over at Top Knots and Gloss, and so we just had to wait it out. And once she was able to come back, then we did a branding marathon in the fall, I think.
Hmm.
And then again, we kind of, okay, let's do this again. Well, then we closed down again, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
And here
just
we
kind
are,
of
six
been,
years later, still in
it's
lockdown.
just been ebbs and flows. I mean, I'm still paying rent on my studio. I
Mhm.
have it, I pay every month, whether I'm bringing anything in or not.
Yeah.
But I also recognize that I am very privileged in that my sole income is not photography.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm upset and stressed out and, all of the things I had to cancel and refund
Mhm.
money back. And, I wasn't going to keep deposits. That wasn't me. That's not my style. And so that was pretty stressful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely, I recognize my privilege in that, it's unfortunate, but it's my side business, and I'll pick it back up again. I've spent the time working on new processes and contracts and all of that stuff and working on those things. And then, right now, actually, uh, branding work is okay to go. There's no restrictions on branding work.
Hmm.
But it's one of those things where you kind of just, okay, let's just wait and see what happens. Because when I found that out, the numbers were going up, and it was,
It's like
you
deep
start thinking,
circle.
is this the time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm slowly edging back into it. I don't know if many people know that that's the case. I've spent a whole day on the phone with the provincial government to find out exactly the ins and outs of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm starting to kind of edge back into that now. So
Hmm.
it's been a weird year.
Yeah. 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 I mean, there's not really much more to say. It's super weird. And I mean, I understand the government also is kind of doing their best and being like, that's not essential. Oh, wait, I guess we do need that because if we have this, then it needs to be able to advertise or it needs, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how it was explained to me when I called.
Yeah.
And they just said, anything that continues businesses, there's no restrictions.
Yeah.
So, if you're taking pictures of businesses so that businesses can continue to make money, then there's no restrictions at all. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Fun. It's been amazing to see. I mean, not that anyone wants to be where we're at, but it's been amazing to see how businesses have been able to pivot and adapt as much as they are. I know it's out of necessity, but it's still just the ingenuity that people are coming up with and the support that people are giving each other, and that for the most part, the like collaboration over competition and community over competition. It's really, I find that's very prominent. I can't speak for other cities really, but being
Mhm.
the London community and the small business community here, it's incredible.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see. I've enjoyed seeing, I mean, like you said, it's upsetting that it has to happen,
Hmm.
but yeah, the creativity, the way that things are changing and what people are doing to make their businesses work
Yeah.
are probably things that they may not have even thought of.
Yeah.
I say that all the time about my full-time job. I mean, if somebody had told them a year ago that everybody would be working remotely, they would probably say that can't happen, but they had it done within, days.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's incredible to see. It's incredible to see the businesses that are all kind of working together with each other. Like you said, the community over competition, which
Hmm.
is huge. And I love it. I'm such a local business geek
Same. Same.
that I mean, there's not much that I love more than seeing that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Mhm.
Seeing all the businesses that you love coming together and supporting each other and recommending each other and saying like,
Mhm.
okay, well, my supply chain, I can't get this, but you need to talk to this person because I heard they still have some or whatever, rather than to be like, nope, can't help you. You're my client. I'm never going to give your name out to anyone. So
It's wild, and how many people, yeah, they have the same services, or they have a similar service, but they know that you may. I was talking to somebody, I can't even remember what their business was, but it was one of those things where she was like, yeah, I can see it must have been a service. Like I can
Mhm.
treat you, but I know that what you're going through is better suited for this person.
Yeah.
And referred them along, and like that's amazing. It's like
Yeah.
when I get requests for certain things that I know maybe aren't necessary. Could I do them? Yeah. They're not necessarily in my wheelhouse and I probably wouldn't be as comfortable. I have
Right.
no problem
Yeah.
referring them along because it does no, like there's no justice for
No, I
me
agree.
to do something that I'm not going to do a great job at.
Yeah. Yeah. It
So no,
reflects
I'm loving it.
poorly on you potentially. Not that you don't have the capability of doing it, but
Mm,
potentially reflects poorly on you. You don't want someone else to have a bad experience if you know there's somewhere that they're, more or less guaranteed to have a good experience. Yeah, I'm with you. I do the same with certain like specialized real estate things like farms. I could learn it. I'm not stupid. It's not my wheelhouse. I know where I'm like excelling and where I'm not. And I have a pair of rubber boots, but I don't particularly love horses. So I don't think I'm really the farm girl.
know your limits and stay within it.
Exactly. So talking about the community, there's a couple things that you're involved in the community that I know of anyways. I'm sure there's more as well. Something you'd posted on social media a week or two ago about meals for frontline workers
Yeah.
and for other people in the community as
I'm
well.
trying to think of exactly what the name is. It's a Facebook group. I came upon it in the Old East Facebook group. They
Okay.
have the neighborhood has a group, and essentially what it is, it's something like London Essential Worker Angels or something. I can get that information, but it's a program or yeah, a program essentially where you sign up and you just put your name in this Facebook group and you say, listen, if somebody needs something, let me know. And I've seen people where they provide meals or I think even like writing cards, like thank you cards or notes or, sending things, well wishes to the people that are doing all of this work for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was blessed to be chosen for a couple who I think they're both residents living downtown. And so put together, a whole meal. There was, I got a bottle of wine, probably a nicer bottle than I would have drank, and made, a big lasagna and a big Caesar salad and garlic bread and a chocolate cake and, put it all together. And all you do, it's just drop offs.
Mm-hmm.
So they live in an apartment or a condo, upright or a high-rise condo. So I just, when I got there, texted her, said I'm here, put it in the breezeway, and
Yeah.
I just sat there to make sure like it didn't get scooped.
Yeah.
uh,
Someone else like
yeah. And she came down and grabbed it, and it's one of those things where that's the least I can do. And
yeah.
even if you don't need one of those essential workers during this period of time, at some time in your life, you or someone you care about will
Yeah.
need them. And I mean, how could you not want to give back to
Mm-hmm.
people that are like working these long hours,
Yeah.
not seeing their families? They're, when you heard about people that were living in trailers out in the driveway because they couldn't come near the children, and like
Yeah.
it's
We had a friend who, wasn't allowed to see her kids for a bit, and it's intense to
it's
say the
so
least.
upsetting. Like I can't, I know what it's like not being able to hug my own mother. I can't imagine not coming to your own home and not being able to be in your home.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the least I can do. It's a really, really cool project. I was super happy how many messages I got after from
Mm-hmm.
people asking how to get involved and so I just kept saying, check out the Facebook group. If you don't find them, let me know. And I can try and connect you. But yeah, it was awesome. Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I may have screenshotted it, but either way, between the two of us, I'm sure we can find the info, and I'll make sure it's in the write up below this in case
Yeah.
anyone's interested in participating also.
Great.
Outside of work, what do you like to do? Tell me more about Michelle, the person.
More
Beyond.
work.
Yeah, right.
Well, I do work full time, at least 40 hours a week. And then I do this kind of in between when I have the time to do that. Super involved with my family, super into anything physical. So even when I'm working, I have a treadmill desk. And so I spend my mornings walking on the treadmill and working.
Nice.
And then I was not blessed with a good metabolism. So I need to keep this moving.
Fair, fair.
I, up until recently, actually was still playing a lot of sports.
Mhm.
And so that was kind of something that I would do as well. But for the most part, once I'm done working and having family life, then it's shooting or editing or marketing or I mean, I'm blessed in that I love what I do.
Mhm.
It's yeah, you get things every now and then where you're oh my goodness, this is
Sure,
awful.
sure.
But it's not work.
Mhm.
I love it. I love the social media part. I love the editing isn't necessarily anybody's favorite part, but it's very cool to do, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's mostly a lot of that, and baking. I do some baking. Actually, that's what started all of this was
Oh, okay.
I used to have a cake and cupcake business, and then a bunch of dietary changes and couldn't have all of that good stuff in the house.
Mhm.
And so here we are. I thought, okay, I've dug out my old camera. It was a real old junker, and just kind of started shooting stuff just to keep busy because I needed that creative outlet.
Mhm.
And next thing you know, people were asking if they could hire me or could they pay me and I was like, no, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I
Yeah.
quite literally do not know what I'm doing.
I'd be like, I'm just doing this for me, but mhm.
And that's why like my business name is literally my initials. And it was only because I wanted to start an Instagram account so that I wasn't boring my family and friends that follow me on my personal account. I
Yeah.
wasn't boring them with all of these crappy photos because I had, no idea what I was doing. And so it just kind of snowballed from there. And it just, hours and hours and hours of what I call YouTube University and reading and watching things and doing things. And I've had some really solid mentors that have let me, come and second shoot or,
Mhm.
just be in the same space as them is incredible.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, that's kind of how I got here. I
So
mean,
you
it
didn't
wasn't.
have like some young passion for photography, is it? No, you just kind of fell into it.
You know what? I was the kid that didn't know what I wanted to be. And
Oh, same.
I'm now the 40-year-old that doesn't know what I want to be. Like it is what it is. But um, actually, that's a lie. I would love to do this full time. But um, my family was always about photos. Like my mom and my aunts have like albums and albums and albums of these photos,
Mhm.
and so we would like pour over them. And my mom always had, I mean, we didn't have a huge amount of money, but my mom always had like a really nice camera and would take pictures of us around the house. And so like it was, the interest was kind of there. Like I think I inherited it.
Mhm.
And then yeah, so it was like, okay, well, this is a safe way for me to express that creative side.
Yeah.
And then it just, here we are, 3 and a bit years later. So
Amazing.
I got a
Amazing.
better camera, so that's what
Yeah.
matters.
You start to upgrade when you're using it that much.
Mm.
No, something else that you just, I guess, kind of announced, at least on Instagram today, was anyone who's doing branding with you will also now get a feature in Business London magazine.
Yes, so that started. I want to say last July. They approached me and asked. There were a few of my clients actually that had features in their magazine, articles about their businesses or whatever,
Mhm.
and my images had been used. And so I don't know if that's how it started, but Sarah had reached out to me and just said, I want to include some of your images in our magazine. Are you interested? And okay, fine, and send off some images. And a few months later, she said, contacted me again and said, listen, it went over really, really well. We'd like this to be an ongoing thing. And so yeah, end of the summer, beginning of the fall last year was the first kind of ongoing one. And
Mhm.
so it was, every other month. And then, yeah, January, and then did it again. And so now it's every month at this point. So
Nice.
um, what I do is just kind of cycle through.
Mhm.
the images that I have. Some of my clients you'll see more often just because I have ongoing clients, or I have, you know, clients that I work with quite regularly, and so they show up maybe a little bit more. But yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, it's an amazing opportunity. I'm so grateful to Sarah, especially, to Business London, now to Brian, who has stepped in as the managing editor in the interim. I mean, they didn't have to do this. I was a relatively unknown
Mhm.
at that point in time. I still think I'm a relatively unknown. Like this, this is wild to me. But yeah, like the faith and the so the support is just, it's crazy. And so yeah, it's really awesome. So whenever I have branding clients, I always have them, you know, can I post or can I whatever, and then you know, as long as I'm good to go on their end, then I include them in periodically into the magazine. So
Amazing.
yeah, it's been amazing, amazing. Hmm.
Awesome. Well, you're doing great work. Anything that you want to touch on? Anything coming up? I know everyone's kind of in limbo, unfortunately, in
Yeah,
terms of making up
yeah.
plans, but
Well,
anywhere.
I've got a few things that I'm kind of working on. I've got, you know, my usual sessions. I've got my ongoing image support program. So that's clients that I see regularly. So someone like Morgan, for example, I see her quarterly. I have clients that I see monthly, just depending on what they need. And that is kind of, that was born out of one of my branding marathons, rather. At the end of it, someone said, "Oh, I really wish I could do this like more often. I could do this regularly with you."
Mm,
And I walked away from that and thought, well, why can't we? And so this program kind of started, and I've had clients that have cycled in and cycled out. You know, we've got different lengths of terms. And so that's kind of a great way for people to not only be able to have good quality photos for their websites, but then also be able to keep new material for Instagram or social media. And, you know, seasonally, like someone like Morgan, we can go out in the summertime and she can have kind of like summer photos. And then as it's getting cooler out, you know, maybe fall or winter, like, so it just kind of gives you that more fulsome portfolio to pull from
yeah,
for whatever it is that you need.
yeah.
So I've got that. I've got my regular sessions. I just launched a new program just because there are so many businesses. I spend so much time with businesses that are now trying to get online.
Yeah.
And you know, they've had brick and mortar shops, or they've been able to rely on having their products in someone else's business, and now they're stuck and they've got these products. They need to make a living.
Hmm.
They don't know where to start. And so what I set up is a way to kind of step in as a consultant rather, and give help where they need it. You know, I've always been of the mindset that good quality images you shouldn't be held back from having those
Hmm.
because you don't have the money right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everybody right now is struggling. Budgets have changed for everybody.
Hmm.
Photography is a luxury. I understand that. It's something that's very expensive, and if given the choice, I should hope that you're paying your hydro bill and not buying photos. You know, and so if I can help people just get images to get online so that they can continue to make a living to support their families,
Hmm.
whatever I can do, I'm 100% there to help. So
Amazing.
the other day I posted on Instagram, you know, 5 tips for taking product photo or
Yeah,
product
the
photos with
plays.
your phone,
Yeah.
right? And here's what you can do. Now, they're not going to be super high resolution photos. I mean, obviously, depending upon your camera or your phone, but it's enough to get you on Instagram with, or
Yeah.
it's enough to get you on Facebook with. And I mean, the research is there. Like images are so important, especially when it comes to products,
Hmm.
that they need this help. And so I was getting a lot of messages from people saying, I don't even know where to start, or it's too overwhelming. I've got a whole product line and where do I even start? And you know, and so if I can help them, absolutely I'll help them.
Hmm.
And so it's virtual. I can do it, you know, we can do it by FaceTime, we can do it by Zoom. You know, we can talk about those basic things, you know, lighting, composition, all of that stuff. And then we can really kind of niche down on your product specifically. Okay, so you know it's a lavender based soap. okay, so why not order some lavender buds or, you know, like things like that that are more specific for the product.
Mhm.
And then set your phone down and I'll watch you, or set the camera down, or like the laptop on Zoom, and I'll watch you and I'll say, hey, move closer to the window, or, you know,
Yeah.
whatever it is that I can do to help, because it's a daunting task if
Hmm.
it's not something that's, you know, natural to you.
Yeah, yeah. If
You know?
it's not in your wheelhouse, it's very
Yeah,
overwhelming to try and learn all that stuff. Or you see the pretty images on Instagram or on other people's accounts and just
yeah,
think it's not attainable for you, or you're comparing to those. And it could be such a simple tip, like you said, that could really elevate
yeah,
their photos. So
yeah.
very cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me this evening. It was very lovely to virtually meet you because I've heard a lot about you from a lot of different people.
Oh dear.
Good things, good things. Yeah, and I'm so happy to have someone who loves supporting local businesses as well, which I think everyone I've interviewed has actually been really great for that. So
Yeah.
thank you again, and I'm sure we will be chatting again in the future, and I will make sure that everyone has all the information to find you, Michelle, on Instagram and anywhere that you are, for all sorts of different things, boudoir and branding and tips and everything we discussed today.
Well, thank you so much for having
Again.
me.
Thank you.